Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome to the inaugural stream of the 1K World Cup 2025, presented by Joke. We are back once again for the second edition, we're running it back this time, of the 1K World Cup, and oh boy, no better way to get things started than with the Qualifiers Showcase. So many more teams, so many new faces, ready to throw their hat in the ring. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth this time around by none other than Sleeby. Maddy, how you doing today?
I am doing wonderful, excited to showcase these qualifier maps and show these teams what they have to do to get in.
Yeah, it is quite a bit of a doozy. Jay was in here earlier before we started, just giving us a bit of a rundown as to what to expect, and I don't think the players are ready for what they are in for here today. So, without further ado, let's not keep the players waiting any longer than necessary. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it. It is going to be the first map of the qualifiers. It is going to be Moonlight Feast.
Yep, qualifier map number 1. Different pooling than most people are used to in the Mania scene. Usually you see the Rice, LN, hybrid, that sort of style, but for the qualifiers it is just
play them as you see them. There's no real ordering. I'm sure people will see the trends here and there through the qualifiers, but overall, it's, if you've been around the block a couple of times, you kind of understand how this tournament likes to operate, and we're going to start things off with a relatively straightforward map, just conventional Rice patterning, just 1-4 snapping, nothing crazy in terms of burst patternings just yet, just a bit of a consistency test. We got to make sure that the players are able to maintain a steady, consistent beat through this introduction, get well over that 400 combo cap, and kind of take a bit of a break before moving on into the next third of the map. This is a bit on the longer side, gonna just be shy of that 3-minute mark, and a very comfortable BPM, 174. Some folks might be able to get away with, actually, there's probably some people crazy enough to try single tapping this, but I imagine it's a pretty comfortable alternating pace for a lot of the folks that have played a 1K map before.
yeah, very comfortable map, very consistency based. Just kind of your run-of-the-mill, almost Rice 1, looking at that consistency.
Yeah, a good little benchmark just to kind of set the tone a little bit. Don't really want to throw too many curveballs right out of the gate here. And I mean, while we're waiting for this to come through, like I said, there aren't really any major surprises. Some doublet patterns, some little gallops here and there, transitioning into like 1-2 transitions as we pick up the pace just a little bit here towards the end, just kind of making sure people are still awake after almost, 2.5 minutes of just consistent 1-4s. You get these doublets starting to kind of litter the playfield a little bit, just to make sure that you're not kind of falling asleep at the wheel here. So definitely got to watch out for that. It's not going to be your straightforward outro, so we'll see if anybody gets caught up by that. And some things to keep in mind, this is 2 players going to be playing for every team during these qualifiers. Everybody gets 2 runs, your best score. As always, your usual qualifier stuff will be in play here. And with that being said, that will do it for the first qualifier map. We can move straight on into qualifier 2, and it's going to be Raymay.
Yeah, qualifier 2 definitely picks up the pace a little bit in terms of the BPM, going from 174 up 11 rather to 185. About the same length, just shy of 2 minutes 30 seconds. And it's definitely more focused on keeping control, reading how many notes are in front of you, with a few bursts.
Yeah, we start to get that introduction to the 1/6 to 1/8 style burst patterns that make up the majority of the difficulty of some of these rice charts once we get into like that mid to late game. If you can handle these isolated bursts with enough consistency, you should be swinging some pretty good scores on this map in particular, and it kind of sets the tone for what you can expect once you get to the higher difficulty maps later on in this tournament. So a nice little primer, a nice little offset to what we saw in Qualifier 1, where that was more like a 1/4 consistency test. This is more, do you have the consistency with those bursts? And our first actual glimpse of an LN in the first 2 qualifier maps.
Yeah, and as we get into the last quarter of the map here, we're going to start picking things up once again as the bursts start showing up just a bit more, just checking that you're still there, still consistent enough.
There we go. The doublet patterns begin to rain down. It's very much a telegraphed type of map where there aren't really any major surprises with what's going on musically. It's kind of one-to-one with what you're hearing, so no real needing to guess as to what you're going to be playing, so long as you're paying attention to what's going on. And that will do it for qualifier number 2. We can move on to qualifier number 3, and it's going to be Backlash by Akiri.
Yeah, and for qualifier 3, you'll immediately notice that it is LN, full LN, pretty much. The orange LNs make their appearance. And
yeah, gone are the days of the purple and blues. We are now in orange.
the LNs look denser than they actually are. The newer faces to 1K might look at this and go, that looks really tough. But once you get those fundamentals down, it is not as tough as it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to always keep in mind is when it comes to 1K LNs, you don't need to hold on to the note as long as you think you do. And once you really kind of have that moment click in your head that it's like, oh, I can play this just like 1/4 rice and get away with getting some good accuracy, then you start to understand 1K LN at its core, and those scores are just going to skyrocket. And this one does have its transitional moments. There are some 1/6 bursts transitions every now and again. And when I say every now and again, I think that's just that one transitional moment into the back half of the map before diving right back on into the LNs. But this is definitely more of a consistency test with your LN reading skills. A couple of harder patterns here towards the ending as we make it to this outro. But outside of that, it really is just a LN parallel to Qualifier 1. And it'll be interesting to see if teams prefer playing Qualifier 3 versus Qualifier 1 and how those scores are going to kind of divert from each other. The more consistent teams aren't going to have an issue. And as we continue on, we can move on to Qualifier 4. It's going to be Particle Arts.
Yep, Qualifier 4. A little bit on the longer end, 3 minutes 30 seconds. And you're going to see the mix of rice and LN.
Folks might prefer you're being tested on both fronts. You have these longer LN structures before transitioning into some rice sequences, some LN, some longer LNs. You're actually having to concentrate on when those releases are at differing snap lengths, so definitely gotta watch out for that. And we begin the build up into the first major key eye section of this map. As you mentioned, longest map so far, and it's definitely going to be one of our first true like overall consistency tests. We had Rice consistency, we saw our first glimpse of LN consistency. This is, can you combine both of those into a whole performance?
Yeah. Especially with the differing lengths on the LNs, and the LNs dusted with a few Rice notes in between. Just really testing, can you put the two together, and how well can you hold on to that?
Yeah, then you have these going out of that last section into the back half. Now you get these differentiating note length streams to read through. You're gonna need to really understand which hand you're starting and stopping some of these runs at, because overhitting is definitely a concern when you start getting these longer sequences of just like non-stop action. And losing yourself, you start getting these sequences incorrect, and that's when you start fumbling some of these notes. Thankfully, everything's had a pretty high note count, so recovery, if you do find a drop somewhere, is more manageable, but definitely want to be striving for, at minimum, trying to full combo these. You kind of eschew the accuracy, because overall just being in that like 99% range can get you a really good score. It's really just losing those thousands of points from breaking combo that will really separate teams in the qualifier standings at the end of the day. So if you want to shoot for something, shoot for getting these consistent over getting them with high accuracy. If you're new to this, or just getting your feet wet with 1K performances overall, because that will make a world of difference in your overall team score.
Yeah, combo very important, as you said. And that will conclude for the qualifier map here.
Rolling
we'll
right
head
along
on to qualifier number 5.
It's gonna be Fearless Living, and already quite a bit of a tone shift to what we have seen in the last couple of qualifiers. Very much a down tempo type of map, and again, everything's hovering in and around that like 3-minute average mark. There are some that are a bit shorter, there are some that are just a bit longer. That is going to be a bit more of a technical hybrid, as folks that have been around joke productions before, previous tournaments hosted by this group. When it comes to hybrid maps and harder hybrid maps, you get stuff like this, where it is just a mixture of some of the hardest Rice tech elements and sprinkling that little layer of LN on top to really just make very confusing maps to read through and try and keep your footing on.
Yeah, this map holds no punches. The first 4 were sort of holding your hand, guiding you along to what you're gonna expect, and Qualifier 5 comes out and says, hold on now, can you play this?
Absolutely. This is, I feel like it's going to be a very black and white type of situation, where players are either going to love this map because of what it offers in terms of rhythmic complexity, and others are just going to absolutely abhor it because of that exact same thing. It demands so much from you, especially in those in-between moments, those moments where you feel like you could get a tiny bit of a break. You have these little doublet structures that are just constantly chipping away at your focus, trying to make sure that you're getting those down pat. It is so easy to bottom out your key, your preferred key on these doublets, and you're just breaking combo on things that you feel like you should be hitting on command every single time. And the teams that are going to be able to get high scores on this, I feel, are going to set the marker for what we can probably predict being our high place finishers in this tournament overall, because this is the cornerstone of what late game maps in general, like any category, are based off of being able to do these much harder style of charts.
Yeah. If you want to get good at one key, get good at this chart.
Yeah, this will being able to master this chart in particular will do wonders for your one key journey if you are just getting things started. And Maddy, I think we are close to the end here. We've been kind of blitzing through these. Do you have anything else to add here before we move on into this final map?
I don't think I do.
Alrighty, then without further ado, we have some little bit of housekeeping here to do. We will have the qualifier schedule up shortly here after the stream has concluded. Captains, please make sure that you pick a time out for your teams. You need to have at least 2 people present to do the qualifiers. Again, you get 2 attempts at it. Your higher team score will count, and you can alternate and mix and match each time you do each of those maps runs. So don't feel like you're locked into a specific team composition whenever you do go through these maps the first time. Outside of that, we'll handle anything else that I might have forgotten. But without further ado, welcome to the 6th map of the Qualifiers Showcase.
Drowning in a dream, the water pulls me fast. I can't breathe here. Times of fleeting ideas. It was meant to last. I can't break free. 멜로디 내가 가게 가게 돼. 유리 너 하자 마지 걸리냐 to me.
Alrighty, you guys know it wouldn't be a joke production without some little curveballs here and there. Yes, it is a joke original. It is Akira by Krimek featuring Ailey. And oh boy, what a beautiful song to round out the qualifiers. It is just the qualifiers. And we already have an amazing chart, something that sets itself apart from the rest of the qualifier pool. Again, just as a reminder, since it kind of got blitzed out at you guys before this map got presented, qualifier schedules will be out soon. Captains, of course, please work with your teams to find a time that works for you. If something on the schedule doesn't fit what you guys need, please feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to try and accommodate as best we can, but we need to know early so we can try and get you guys situated. As always, it is 2 runs. Higher score of the 2 runs will be counted. Again, permutations of teams can alternate, vary as much or as little as you'd like. The second run is optional, so if you feel like your team has already performed as best as they could, you're not obligated to do a second run, but it's always there as an option. And with that being said, there is nothing else left to do other than wish you guys good luck. We hope you guys enjoy the maps overall. We look forward to seeing your performances, and we'll catch you guys next weekend for the qualifiers reveal, the qualifier seating reveal, and that round of 24 showcase. Until then, we'll catch you guys later.